Mother became irritated and threw the whole sufuria of water on the girl. And my girl told me she can never call someone father when I was still alive. Wakaniambia sasa mama atakufa. Asubuhi tunaamka hajisikii. Na the kidneys had started failing. Sasa tumeshiba wote, I'm all alone. Sasa nikienda nikunywe pombe, nianguke kwa mtaro, tumeanguka wote. Hakuna wa kuchukua mwingine. Mpaka ita time mama yangu anaenda ananinunulia nguo. Kwa sasa naona huyu ni ataenda uchi. Fikirie kujiua. Hawa watoto na hatutakufa na wao. Where could they have been today? Nikiwapatia hii story yangu yote, sasa wanakuja kuona hakuna mtu angeweza kurudia yale makosa alitendwa hapo mbeleni. Even the boys. Nawaambia sasa hata kama ni bibi yako akikukosea kiasi gani, usije wahi kufikiri vile mtatengana.
Wow, another episode with a different story. Welcome to Steamy Updates. It's your girl Betty Nyaga, and today I have a guest, and he has gone through a lot of things in life, a lot of challenges until he reached here. First of all, is the demise, if I may just give a tip of the iceberg, of his wife. Secondly, before even the demise, they had even, I don't know what to call it, separation or divorce. Because in one way or another, aliingilia kati katika ugonjwa wake, and even upon her demise. And he's here to give his story as a way of encouraging men out there, and also encouraging people who are going through challenges out there, and give them hope that all is not lost, even in divorce, even in storms of life, even in separation, and somebody can still exist and can still carry on with their life boldly without majoring on the challenges. I think it's the high time I welcomed you. Hi, Mwalimu. Karibu.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Introduce yourself.
Now, my name is Michael Tebere, born in 1971 at Pumwani Maternity Hospital in Nairobi. Then before shifting from there to Nairobi up to the urban areas, up the rural areas, where I started my schooling, finished my primary school, and then joined high school. Yeah, thank you very much.
You're most welcome. So let's go direct to your story and why you are in Steamy Updates TV.
Okay, thank you very much, Betty. Now, after finishing my secondary school, I joined Kiganjo Kenya Police Training College. So after completing, I was sent in those hard areas in Baringo, of where I found that I cannot proceed because now I was very young. I was very young by that time, and I had found no meaning of risking my life because now that was not my wish. So I decided to leave the job, and maybe after 6 months, then I joined Kaimosi Teachers College to train as a teacher, where I was very much comfortable with the teaching. After teaching for about 5 years, I met with my better half. Now, she had dropped out of school, so after some times, it was like, tumeanza kukaa. So we started come we stay for some time. And then all at once, I came to realize now, the parents, our parents now started to control our family. Now the mother-in-law now started controlling our family.
How now?
Now,
Just to mention,
she was advised to use these pills to prevent pregnancy for about 7 years.
And you're in marriage?
We are in marriage. So that is when we got our first child after 7 years. Only to realize that it is my mother-in-law who was doing all this. So after having wasted all these 7 years without a child, I found there was no need of getting another child. So I advised my wife not to get another child, but she insisted she cannot stay with one child without naming another child after his father. So now that is now when my problems almost started. Because when we had the second child, it was like it was completely against my wish. And now I didn't want another child because now even after the first child, we stayed for another 5 years without getting the second child. So there was a very big gap there in between. So that is when I had started finding there was difficulties in maybe bringing the children up later, because I had found that now I was growing old. And the wife was not supportive because now my mother-in-law was completely controlling everything. Hardly would we have finished 1 month without her getting back to her parents. So
Mlikuwa
and
mmekosana?
tutakosana tu zingine, it was only an argument, anaenda. And whenever I went for her, the mother-in-law was now demanding for some cash, maybe to pay milk for the children and to pay the properties she had carried from the shop. All these one were completely fictitious. There was nothing like that. So now I found now my marriage now started sinking very deep. This one made me to throw her away, maybe by separation. The second child was only about 4 months old when we separated, and she came back when she was 4 years old.
Oh, so after you separated, akaenda kwa wazazi wake.
Akaenda kwa wazazi wake.
And then she came back after 4 years. That when you took her in again.
I took her in again.
Okay.
Now this time round, the children were now grown. So I found that now he could not get another child. So at this time, at this point in time, I found that it was now time now to renew our wedding.
Okay.
So I took her to the church, and
you
we
renewed
the vows. I renewed the vows
wedding.
now, and it was very colorful. We invited friends, guests, and people from the village. It was very colorful. But we had agreed on one thing. The family was now intact, and there was no we needed no other child. But then wanted to stay for some times. Then she became pregnant. Now this one turned down the tables. Although God was on our side, she gave birth to a girl. And remember, we had 2 boys there before. But this one, it irritated me completely to an extent that I promised to send her away again and bring her back home when she was completely old and unable to conceive.
Okay, just to ask, why did you feel the need to throw her away? Or simply, why did you feel that alikuwa amekosea sana kupata mtoto mwingine?
Now, alikuwa amekosea sana kupata mtoto mwingine kwa sababu wazazi wake walikuwa na jukumu la kila kitu kumuongoza. This is because
wanamwambia pata mtoto, ni wao wana control kila kitu.
Wana control kila kitu. Alafu hauwezi kukaa na mtoto mmoja, angalia sister yako hajaolewa na ako na watoto 7. Because it is like in their family, the other sisters are not married. Now, the most educated person there was their only brother who had gone up to Form 4. The rest were dropouts to a certain level where the education was not even meaningful to them. Okay. So that is why I found the reason of giving birth now and again. And by that time, if you remember, when we started, I told you, I married her when she was very young, a dropout from school. So she was still strong and energetic and could still continue giving birth, which was very much against me. This one was mostly ignited by looking back to our family. In the family where I came from, we were born 11 of us. And because my father was the only one who was working, sometimes we even went without food, and when there was food, it was not even enough. So I feared in the first place, right from the word go, not to get a bloated family. So that is why I wanted to minimize. So when all these ups and downs started coming, now my wife went away. Now this time, they called me with other village elders in their home. But the village elders demanded a hefty amount of money, such that I was even almost quarreling with them openly in front of the others, quarreling with the parents, quarreling with these elders. And then I told them, now that was the end of it. I never wanted marriage. So by that time, she gave me the 2 boys and left with the girl. So after we separated now officially. After staying with the girl, the 2 boys, I found that they are very much, they are suffering very much by cooking for themselves, fetching firewood, doing all other family chores at home, because I could not be able. At this time, something happened to my life. I met with thugs along the way, and my hand was actually destroyed. I was assaulted. So I could not also be able to cook for them or help them in washing clothes. Thank you.
You can even see.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this hand, I lost nerves and muscles. It cannot help me
So
to
do you
it.
feel anything? Do you have
It is very weak. It cannot hold anything. If you can look at the fingers, they cannot pull themselves. So I cannot hold anything. So now, at this time, I am having children without a wife. Now, the wife, now my wife whom we had separated, found that this young girl was actually a nuisance. So at one time, when heating water to take bath, now the wife, now the girl was insisting that she would not be left by the mother. So the mother became
How old was
angry.
she by then?
The girl was only 2 years old.
No.
So the mother became irritated and threw the whole sufuria of water on the girl. And then,
Jesus.
yes, she took her to the hospital and called me. When I came, my wife, the mother now ran away from the hospital. It was deadly. It was deadly. I don't want even to remember because now the whole body part of it, in fact, it was about 17 point something%. So I stayed with the girl in the hospital for about 39 days. Now by that time, yeah, the nurses went on strike. Now you can imagine I have 2 boys at home. When nurses went on strike, I was given my girl to go back home and nurse her there at home. So it was terrible. Now, as time went, the mother now, my wife now, the mother of these children, got a job as a barmaid. And now, because now the club was speaking very well, now the children went back. So I convinced her to stay with the children. I'll be sending any help they wanted. So as now my firstborn was now joining secondary, she was already in secondary. Now the secondborn was now in class 8. So when I sent money for school fees, the mother consumed everything and told me I also move around with other women. So she will also revenge on the same. So now this time, this forced me to register another Safaricom line, which I will be sending money to my son direct to cater for the other children now, because the mother was completely not in support of any child there.
So did your child go to, or did this child go now to high school?
Yeah, alienda high school, na lakini sasa nikabadilisha na tukaongea na mwalimu. So I talked to the principal and nikamwambia all the problems we are undergoing. Now this child, this boy, I had named him after my father. So when the second born finished class 8, now the mother convinced the boy that the father, that now me, even the time he was born, I was not in need of him. So she advised the boy not to continue with the education. So now by this time, my firstborn had already finished. So the second boy now was now to join Form 1. She never joined Form 1. The third born girl was in class 4. Now in class 4, that is now, doctors detected high blood pressure on their mother. And
while she was away?
While she was still away, she had diabetes and high blood pressure. Now, it was not easy for her to identify because she used to go to these very light dispensaries. So before she could realize what she was suffering from, now it had started bringing some effect on eyesight. She could even lose eyesight. Now she was even unable to work. She was now unable even to cook because now with fire and then diabetes and high blood pressure hazisikizani. Sasa imeanza kumletea shida na hizi shida zote sasa zinambeba mpaka sasa ikawa ni lazima sasa anirudie. But then all this time it was impossible now for her to come back kwa sababu she had remarried again to another man when she was still working in the pub. She had relocated to another man, and that is the time I went for my girl, because my girl told me she can never call someone father when I was still alive. So I went for my girl and started staying with the girl. Now by staying with this girl for some times, now that is when they convinced me, now the children, that I should actually use my NHIF card to take their mother to a better hospital. Wakaniambia sasa mama atakufa. Asubuhi tunaamka hajisikii, na akijisikia haoni,
What are watoto they are good? You have good kids.
I think I have very good kids and they are very supportive even today. So nikapeleka mama yao in a good hospital at Moi Mission Hospital, and then the doctors identified she had all this. But then it was too late because now the kidneys had started failing. Now she started now undergoing medication only up to a time when she went to Murang'a Level 5 Hospital. And now I had a doctor there who is my friend, and he told me the kidneys had completely failed, and now transplant was not the solution. Now the only solution which was there, it was only through dialysis to hold her for some period before maybe any other things happened, godly or any other things which would happen. Now by all this time, I was still suffering with the children. Now the firstborn. Now the firstborn had completed the school.
That is Form 4.
Form 4, and she had joined NYS. After NYS, that is when he came back and proceeded with a course mechatronic engineering at JKUAT. Now from JKUAT she only went for one semester and then joined the KDF.
Oh, the defense process.
Yeah. Now the story of the girl now, the girl had to complete the grade 6 after those 2 years, and now come back to my home to stay with her. Now coming back to the mother proceeded. So she went and borrowed a motorcycle, which she gave to this other friend of her, who now she had now gone to get remarried again. So with all this time, anatumia pombe, na wakati anatumia pombe anajua the kidneys, their status. Lakini now I don't know. So last year October, it was October 4th. Yeah. October 4th, her health deteriorated. And now this friend of her took her to Keno Hospital. And remember, this man was drunk. By having this man drunk, as on their way back home, they got an accident. That was on 4th, and on 10th, she passed on. Now leaving me with all the burden of the children and everything. Now, when she died, it was now another hectic moment.
Now, maybe before even her demise, if I may take you back a little, how was your life with her back then? Mlikuwa mnakaa at peace? Ama you used to have some issues here, the fracas, maybe fighting and stuff like that?
Now, the issue...
If I may take you back a little.
Yeah, thank you. Now, when we were staying there before, it was not all that straight. But at times, you can find now that when there is money, that is now when the whole problem was erupting. She could run away because she knew I was to go for her. So there was time we are staying well, and also out of this love of money, there was time she had fallen in love with my neighbor, which was completely... I never knew all this, but I came to know when now we separated. That is now when other people in the village were telling me what was going on, but they could not speak beyond whispers. So you can see, now all this went on up to that time when now, and by all this out of humanity, even if she fell sick, I was still after her because now she was the mother of my children. I remember I had even thought of not getting her buried in my farm, but then my children told me, now look, Dad, this woman carried us in her womb for 9 months and agreed to breastfeed us. So there's something we can actually say she did for us. So, and for that, can you please agree to let her be buried here? Okay. Because now there was even a time when I thought of cremating her, but now that one was not an option. See? Now, before you interrupted me, I was at the point now she had passed on. So after she passed on, now the day when we went to get the remains from the mortuary, something also happened. Still on me. The sisters and brothers demanded to see the corpse from the head to the toes in presence of my daughter. Now from there, my daughter now, out of that shock, it became terrible. Now the hormones started growing abnormally. So after the burial, now I had now to start now nursing my daughter, of which before we knew what was happening, at the age of 9, now she had to undergo monthly period for about 2 weeks, non-stop. Now when kushtuka. So I was told some hormones were growing abnormally. So some were growing faster than others. Hatukuwa na shida na yeye. So sasa ni kuzunguka hospitali hii mpaka nikatumwa Nairobi Children's Hospital. Akapimwa, akawekwa kwa mashini, nikaambiwa what was going on. Now all this time, now not forgetting, tumetoka kuzika mama yake. So I was completely now almost broke. Huyu ni mtoto naye. Miezi miwili kwa hospitali, then tunaenda kule Nairobi, anahitaji dawa, anahitaji fare, na nahitaji kumfuatilia. Siwezi lala naye kwa kitanda kwa sababu now at the age of 9 unamuacha tu. So I had to go almost every day, in the morning before I go to school and in the evening after leaving school. So but God
How
is...
was the situation, if I may ask, apart from the maybe hormonal imbalance, what was the issue that was disturbing her a lot?
Now she could even continue asking me and telling me about the mother. About the mother. Now, do you remember how my mother was looking like? Why was the eyes so tightly closed? Now, I used to tell
So it's
her,
like she was traumatized.
she was traumatized, and that picture was infixed in her, such that it was very difficult now to forget. So that is why now I was told, thank you. So I was now advised by the doctor to be taking her out, maybe to other places, to see animals, to see rivers, to other big hotels, so that now she can actually start thinking and finding, even without the mother, the life is still continuing. So now after that, now she became well. She went back to school. Now she will join 2024. She will join junior secondary school. Now, coincidentally, my firstborn will be undergoing pass out parade the end of this week. That will now be on 7th.
Congratulations on
Now, but the secondborn, we are still struggling to make the two ends meet, because now she did not even do KCPE. She ran away. By the end of the year, she did not even do the KCPE. The mother told her, before you, if you happen to do KCPE and you fail, your father, the boy is a he.
Oh.
So
Yeah,
the mother, that the mother,
maybe
okay,
the
sorry. So the mother told him, if you do exam and you happen to fail, your father will force you to repeat because he does not like you. So it is like now, akaambiwa sasa hii wachana na hii masomo.
Akaacha kusoma.
Akaacha.
He was brainwashed.
Akaacha. Sasa kuacha, hana course, hana elimu, hana nini. Nikaona sasa ameanza kuingia kwa grupu ingine si mzuri. Taanza kumharibu. Nikaambiwa hata hiyo grupu wanaiba, wanavuta bangi. So I took him to someone who would give him guidance and counseling, and now I am living with him. She is now well. In fact, he's the one who cooks for me and for the sister.
Oh.
So as we now wait for the firstborn to come and join us, sasa ndio tujue vile sasa tutaanza kuendeleza familia. But I know now, by this time, God is on our side, because our family is now together and intact.
Wow, glory to God.
So anything now he cannot do anything now. This boy who never went to school, who never proceeded with education, hakuna kitu anaweza kufanya bila kuniuliza.
Wow.
Na kile kitu anajua ni cha muhimu, kufyeka, kufanya nini, kutafuta nini, maji kuchota, kufua na kufulia dada yake nguo, yote anafanya hata bila kusukumwa. Kama anataka kwenda mahali, she normally comes for permission from me. He normally comes for permission from me. So naona sasa the family sasa imeanza kusimama tena na imeanza kurudi pamoja. So ile kitu tu huwa wananiuliza lakini nashindwa kuwajibu. Will you remarry again?
By the answer that question.
Sasa hiyo nayo ni very difficult kwa sababu sasa if wao wataweza kukaa na wakae na ile njia mimi nataka bila shida yoyote sasa, na kwa sababu wanaweza kuwa wazima, there's no way I can come to remarry another wife akuje kuwalea. But then if it is for my sake, that one I can even consider, but a later date when I will be now be left alone. Tuseme sasa vijana wamepata kosa, wameenda kazi, huyo kwanza sasa na amejishikilia, huyu mwingine akienda kosa ajishikilie, msichana akimaliza shule na yeye pia aende kama ni kosa yake ajishikilie. Wakuja sasa, naona sasa huyu msichana akienda now at the age of 11 akimaliza aende course na muongeza kitu another about 7-8 years. Those 7-8 years, and by the way, I am about 13 years away from retirement. I am retiring 30th April 2036. Okay. So you can see kuna time hapo atanipatia, itakuwa kwa kazi na atakuwa amemaliza masomo, so atakuwa na time ya kwenda course. So after that now, sasa tunaweza fikiria whether
is not a must.
It is not a must anyway. I must say it is not a must because now kama ni wao sasa kunifulia nguo, kupika ni wao, because now we do things commonly. Na mimi sasa kuwatafutia pesa, kuwalisha as they do the other chores in the family.
That's awesome. And just to ask, all through the storms, how are you coping up? Did you feel maybe a feeling like you've come to an end, or simply ulikuwa unakopaje hiyo time?
Sasa most of that time kuna wakati even I had felt naweza achana na hii kazi. Because kuna wakati ilikuwa imefika sina bibi, sina watoto, niko peke yangu. And even when I was alone, ile pesa napata inisaidi, nikituma mama yake anakula. Na haniambii. Only kwenda shule naitwa na principal ananiambia uko na mwaka mzima hujalipa. Sasa kutafuta pesa mwaka mzima na natuma every time and then. So ilikuwa imenafika wakati unasikia sasa there's no need of living. Hata hii kazi nitaiwacha. Lakini thank God I had a very loving mother. Alikuwa ananisimamia hata kama ni wakati nimekuja, because there was a time nilikuwa nimesink mpaka kwa pombe. Nilikuwa nimesink mpaka kwa pombe. So
it was not a walk in the park.
Ilikuwa kubaya. Mara mingi naokotwa kwa mtaro kwa sababu sasa nikienda nipitie mahali nipatiwe sahani moja ya chakula, ujue sasa tumeshiba wote kwa sababu I have nobody nyumbani.
I didn't get the satire, tumeshiba wote.
Sasa tumeshiba wote, I'm all alone. Sasa nikienda nikunywe pombe nianguke kwa mtaro, tumeanguka wote, hakuna kuchukua mwingine.
Okay, I understand the okay, it's somehow painful, but it's the way you're putting it. It simply looks comical.
So sasa unaona ilikuwa mambo mengi. Alafu hakuna kitu ningenunua anything valuable. Hakuna kitu ningenunua valuable. Kwa sababu sasa nanunulia nani? Naogopa nikinunua na nakaa kwa nyumba peke yangu itaibiwa. I even had a posho meal ambayo ilikuwa inakaa, ni my mother tu alikuwa anafanya kazi nayo, but very rare kwa sababu naye anaogopa stima. Na mimi masaa ya kwenda kufanya hiyo kazi haikuwa because during the weekends nikitokea asubuhi nitakuja jioni nikiwa mlevi ama nikose kukuja. Kutoka kwa shule badala ya kufika saa 10 nafika kitu kama saa 4 saa 5 usiku because I have got nobody, no responsibilities, nothing. Mpaka ita time mama yangu anaenda ananinunulia nguo. Kwa sasa naona huyu ni ataenda uchi. Shati ni moja na ananiona na hiyo shati from Monday to the next Monday. Anaenda ananinunulia. And I'm working. And I'm working. Nilikuwa mbaya. So
it's like you were affected mentally.
Kabisa.
Thank God you're out of it.
Sasa I am completely free and I'm very proud. My family is back. Now on the other side, bibi yangu nilimsamehe na nikampatia Mungu tu. Ndio hayo mambo yasije akatufuata. Iwe ni kama ritualistic.
Yeah.
Isiwe ritualistic ati ikitoka kwa huyu inaingia kwa huyu. So nilimsamehe na nikamzika, nikampatia heshima yake na tukakubaliana hiyo tusahau, tuendelee na maisha. Now we are very comfortable na sio ni hata shida ikija tena kwa sababu with the 2 boys and 1 girl hakuna kitu tunakosa. Mshahara yetu inatutosha, kuelimisha inatutosha, manguo tunanunua, tunafanya nini even. Sasa kama sasa ingekuwa ni wale watu wanakufa roho mapema, I don't know what could have happened. In fact, hata najirudia kama ningeacha kazi ama nifikirie kujiua, hawa watoto na hatutakufa na wao, where could they have been today? Where could they have been? And especially this young girl, na muangalia, alafu naona wale wanajiuza kwa mitaa, naona sasa ningekuwa na huyu, ningekuwa namuona nikiwa kwa kaburi tu, na siwezi kumsaidia. But now, they have a promised future. They wako na future promised. Na sasa hiyo future yao naona, it will actually take them somewhere. Na nikiwapatia hii story yangu yote, sasa wanakuja kuona hakuna mtu angeweza kurudia yale makosa alitendwa hapo mbeleni. Even the boys. Nawaambia sasa, hata kama ni bibi yako akikukosea kiasi gani, usije wahi kufikiri vile mtatengana. Kwa sababu mkitengana, hata Waswahili wanasema watenganao ndio wapatanao. Sasa ni lazima hata siku moja mtapatana tu. Na mtapatana when maybe wewe uko weak na yule mwingine ni completely worn out, ameisha. Lakini sasa kama mnaweza kuvumiliana, muende pole pole Mungu out na muweze kuelewana, God will intervene. Na Mungu akiintervene kama vile alifanya in my life, now I think now I am somewhere and I'm getting somewhere. Hata that is what I was telling my kids. Nikawaambia, now your ideologies and mine should be the same. Only what matters most is timing. But the bottom line should be, we are actually getting somewhere. Yeah.
Speak to that person who has given up in life. Speak to that person who has gone through storms in life. Speak to them and at least encourage them.
Now, if you have ever gone out all this, now, number one, I know you must know there is God in heaven. Now, this God created you with a purpose. What there is now, try to give others a chance to speak out and actually, if possible, enda kwa guidance and counseling, enda church, and more so, jaribu kufuata kanisa. Unapofuata kanisa, hakuna kitu kibaya ambacho kitahubiriwa kule. Lakini ukifuata wanadamu, kila mtu anafanya kulingana na uwezo na akili zake. So jaribu kufuata kanisa, hata kama sio kila wakati. Hiyo Sunday unapata, ukipata kuna fellowship, unaenda hapo, yale mahubiri yanahubiriwa, utakuwa tu unasikia kuna neno limesemwa. Na ukiongea na wale wengine ambao wameenda maybe kwa guidance and counseling ama rehabilitation, you find that ile unapitia hata ni kidogo kuliko yale wamepitia. Sasa kutoka hapo, you can actually start restructuring your life. There is no time which is late if you are still alive. Haujachelewa. Kama unapitia hii, jua tu kuna wakati, anza kuirekebisha saa hii. And I promise you, within a month, a week, tuende from a week, a month, a year, you'll be completely healed. If today I am giving this testimony, and I have undergone all this, and this time, remember I have not mentioned my family anywhere because hakukuwa na mtu ambaye ningeenda kuuliza. Being the firstborn in our family, hakuna mtu mwingine ninge-emulate hapo. Na wale pia ninge-emulate, remember hakuwa amesoma in the family of my father. Brothers za babangu hakuwa anasomesha watoto. So nilikuwa naona tu wanapika changao, wanapika karubu. Sasa kuwaangalia wananiingiza even much deeper than where I was. So that is when now I started now shifting my mind to other lines. Other than kuangalia hawa wengine. Nikaona sasa kina nani wengine. Nikiangalia yule ni mtu anahubiri pale. Na vile tulikuwa tunamjua akiwa mlevi, akiwa mkora, akiwa nini. Nikajua kuna kitu alisikia kutoka kwa neno la Mungu. So I can only encourage wale wanakuhubiria, enda hapo. Wasikize tu, wapatie hata kama ni dakika 5. Haya, ukienda kwa guidance and counseling, yale mambo utapewa na zile experience utapata hapo, you will find hiyo unapitia ni kidogo. Yeah. Now, as part of my story, nataka ku-encourage hao wengine ambao wangekuwa napitia all this. Now, know there's God in heaven and there is another chance as long as you are alive. Na Mungu willing. Na Mungu amekuweka kwa sababu fulani. Mungu hajakuweka kimakosa dunia hii. Those people who have been called back by their creator, there was also a reason. And maybe that is why I'm saying I forgive my wife, because could be angekuweko hatungerudiana na hawa watoto. Wangekuwa mikora, wangekuwa nini, lakini for the sake of them Mungu akaleta haya mambo, because I was asking myself, kwa nini achukue mama yao aniache? Who is now liable to take care of the children? Ni the father or ni the mother? So lakini nikajua there is a reason, sababu ambayo Mungu ameniweka pale. So na ningependa pia hata out of this, wale wengine wana undergo all this, let them actually get a lesson from me. I have faced it, I have succeeded, I have won the battle, and now I am standing to be a witness.
That was superb, that was great, and I think you've heard his story. So if you're there feeling discouraged, feeling that umefika mwisho, know that ukifika mwisho Mungu ndio huwa anaanzia. Seek God's guidance. Na ujue kwamba wengi wanapitia majaribu mengi kuliko yale unayapitia. Anyway, as I wind up, thank you so much for having an ear to me and also listening to our guests. And I think this story is meant to speak to generations, not only to men and women, but even to children. When things are going haywire, don't worry. God is there to take care of everything. Till next time, I'm Betty Nyaga. Let's see each other in the next episode. Thank you.